Introducing a podcast like no other.
A musical arrangement of epic proportions.
With Elijah McNutt.
You know the bois in the Inception trailer were actually a story point, so it really makes no sense to put them in any other trailer?
Well, I'm still gonna use them because they sound cool. And Judah Eiler.
You know, music has a word for death. Want me to say it?
Every
Single
month.
the There It Is Again Soundtrack Podcast.
Oh, there it is again!
Yeah!
Stream wherever you get your podcasts.
This film is not yet rated. Dude, we should tell them to give us a high score. Get it?
What's up, people? Welcome back to another episode of Stars and Garters. I'm Katie Pettit, and today, okay, before I start, I just wanted to, I wish I could have done an episode actually on the day, but one, I don't have Saturday episodes, and two, I just didn't even try, really. But, you know, maybe next year. But, just want to alert you guys that Saturday, this past Saturday, so 2 days ago, which was the 23rd? Yes, the 23rd, was Ravenclaw Pride Day. And I know that most of you listening might not even be Harry Potter fans, so you're out. And if you happen to be, you're probably not a Ravenclaw. I know maybe one other Ravenclaw who's not in my family, so there are far and few of us, but just wanted you to know, if you're a Ravenclaw, you're great, and I hope you had a good day, even if you didn't know that technically that day was a thing that existed. All I did was wore my Ravenclaw cap, so that was a party, you know. But yeah, shout out to all the Ravenclaws out there. Hope you had an awesome day. But today is Marvel Monday, so we are going to talk about Marvel today. And so, as most of you probably know, recently, Disney Plus, Marvel Studios came out with the first 2 episodes of X-Men 97, which is a continuation of the X-Men, the animated series show, and it has been very highly anticipated, and one of the very few recent Marvel projects that people have actually been excited about and thinking is going to be good. So, our family watched those recently, pretty quickly after they came out, I guess. And I was just gonna give my thoughts on those 2 episodes, see how it's looking, you know, see if it looks like it's gonna work out, or it looks like it's not. So, let's jump right into it. Okay, so, episode 1, very first episode, basically it was about, you know, mutants, or not the mutants, the X-Men are doing their X-Men thing, rescuing people. They hear trouble, they go and find it out and investigate it, and on this particular trouble-stopping mission, they find some really crazy new anti-mutant technology, so they have to find out where that comes from. Gotta fight some Sentinels in a pretty sick fight, by the way, and they meet this new mutant kid named Robert. I think it's Robert. I can't remember his name. I know his mutant name. His X-Men name is Sunspot, so Sunspot, but he's not called that in the show. But they meet him and take him in, and he has a whole thing. But yeah, it's basically about the mutant weapons, the new mutant hunting weapons, and Sunspot. So, yeah. That was basically it. A classic X-Men storyline. Always gotta be fighting mutant hate, mutant killers, Sentinels, all that. Great stuff. So first of all, first thing you notice about the show, animation is great. It is a very distinct style, and it's like, it looks like the old show, but like still really cool and modern. It's just a very cool vibe with all the animation. Everyone looks great. They look like themselves. There's not been any crazy character changes, which is nice. Everyone just looks like themselves, and also they act like themselves. There have been no just character personality rewrites in the show. Everyone is very much in character. No crazy power changes have happened. It's just very it's staying true to the original at first, as what you first see. Um, and it's really cool that they picked up where the old one left off. Not like directly where the old one left off, but it's still like in a post that world. Charles Xavier is dead and they're having to deal with all that stuff. It's very interesting to see that. I really like that part of the show because it's just very interesting to see. Yeah. So, oh yeah, I was writing about the characters. Everyone's doing their thing, using their powers. It's really cool to see their powers with the new animation as well. That's another bonus of that. Just some really cool shots all around the show. Just even though this animation looks like retro, it's still really cool, and technology is very much more advanced now. But when I was talking about the characters, I wrote, "You sit down when Storm walks in," because I just love, like, her character is so cool. She's such a distinct personality, even though like her personality isn't normally one that I would be super into. It's just like she's just a powerhouse, and she's like, I don't know, she's just so cool. She's like, that's not the kind of personality she has. She's not like the cool girl, but she, like, her powers, you sit down. You sit down when Storm walks in. No one messes with Storm. She's I don't know if they called her an Omega level mutant in the other show, but like it's very much uh put on display how powerful she is, because she's just, Storm she's great. Incredibly powerful, and she gets a big spotlight all throughout the show. All the characters have their moments, they're, get to show what they've been doing, how they are still interacting with each other. But yeah, Storm was particularly highlighted here. Scott is still very much Scott, leading the team, doing all that well. And yeah, Sunspot, the new character, he seemed pretty cool. I don't know anything about him in the comics. I don't know how accurate his personality and stuff is, but he's got that very classic X-Men young mutant kind of thing. When you have the young mutants, it's a lot of, they have this personality and they're like cool and they're a teenager, but also there's a lot of hard stuff going on because they're a mutant. So his thing is he hasn't even told his parents yet because he doesn't know if they will accept him as a mutant. So that's his little thing. He doesn't end up staying with the X-Men, so I'm interested to see if he ever, makes it. I mean, I assume he'll make another appearance. He better, otherwise, like, what was that whole thing for? But he ended up not staying with the mutants. He just doesn't like the fact that he's a mutant. He's not ready to fully accept that yet. So his whole story was really cool. He's a cool character. He's an interesting character. Not one of the classics, not one that, the people who grew up with him are not gonna be too interested in him, but or didn't grow up with him, who grew up with the original X-Men, not original, but you know what I mean. The whole cast that they grew up with in the show. He's not one of them, but he still seems very interesting, and that's something that's very appealing to me, is seeing new characters interact with very well established and very well known characters, because I think that's how you get new characters to stick, is by putting them and having them interact with the older characters and seeing their personality work with these older characters. I think is how you get people to care about them. So yeah, the plot of the story, very classic again, very X-Men-y, just fighting Sentinels, and fighting mutant hunting, and just having to deal with all that stuff, but still, keeping it fresh, having these new weapons that they have to deal with, having them to go attack the base and fight all these multiple Sentinels, and it also shows how like experienced they are as a team, because like fighting Sentinels is usually a really big deal, and it still was, but like you can tell that they are very good at being the X-Men, because they deal with them pretty quick, pretty efficiently, and with some really cool, awesome moves. That thing where Gambit, uh, that thing where Gambit does the thing and he charges Wolverine's claws looked sick. I loved it. It was such a cool idea, and it turned out cool in the episode, and it just exploded its head off. It was awesome. And then, of course, Storm, again, she walks in and everyone just stands back, lets her do her thing. So that was pretty cool. That whole fight scene, loved it. A+ scene there. So the only thing was a smidge weird to me was that like the trailer for X-Men 97 kind of ended up being a trailer for X-Men 97 episode 1. You know what I mean? I don't know, maybe I'm not understanding how TV trailers work, because I don't usually, you usually see movie trailers. But it's like everything that was teased in the trailer basically was in the first episode. I'm not necessarily saying that was a bad thing, just a little weird, Maybe it ends up being a good thing, because you get to see more and be totally surprised by more stuff. Just something I wasn't expecting, And then it ends. It throws a couple of, setups for the next episodes. Like we got to deal with maybe Scott and Jean are leaving, which that would be crazy. Two big members. See where we get to go with that, and then of course, big twist at the end, or not twist because it was in the trailer. But if you didn't watch the trailer, excuse me. If you didn't watch the trailer, the little thing at the end where Charles Xavier has left the school to Magneto. So, yeah, that's how it ended. Very cool twist. Was when we finished that, I was very interested. I wanted to see where they were going to take that, because Magneto's has not always been a bad guy in the comics. He's had plenty of spots where he's been on the side of the X-Men. Like, I think I might be wrong with this, but to my knowledge, he is currently good in comics in the continuity. At least as the newest comic that I've read, he's been good in. But I obviously have not read the newest comic, so I'm not sure. But so I was very interested to see where they went with that. Overall, I was very happy with it. I was like, okay, this episode was a good sign. Like, they're not doing anything crazy, not trying too hard. They're just giving us classic X-Men stuff, and but still keeping it original with new plot lines, new characters, things coming up, setting up episodes in the future, and keeping it interesting and keeping it engaging. So I was very happy with it, Nothing, I don't think I really could have asked for more. They delivered on everything they said, and I thought it was pretty great. So yeah, that is my thoughts on episode 1. Let's move on to episode 2. So this one had a much more, not complicated, because it wasn't hard to follow, but a more, just a more complex, I guess, plot. There were just more parts to the plot. So it turns out the payoff from the Magneto thing at the end was that it looks like he is good. Like, he's going to play the good guy now, because it's because of his relationship with Charles Xavier, because they've always been really, really close friends. Even like they still have that background, even when they were against each other. They've always had a very like strong connection and background. So he's going to try to play the good guy for Charles's sake. And so the whole thing about this episode is that Magneto, since he is like coming out and trying to help humans, and he's not like hiding away, the people are calling for him to be put on trial because he's done a lot of screwed up stuff against humanity. So, they're not really asking anything crazy, but obviously this is a really big deal, because like there are people who are just like want him to be dead right now, so a lot of mutant protesters are mad he's even getting a trial, so it's gonna have to be a big old deal. They're gonna have to keep him safe, just make sure nothing happens to him, and they're, of course, they want the trial to go in his favor, and that's the most of the plot. And then also, the baby comes. Scott and Jean's baby comes, so that's a big deal. And then, of course, it ends with, not ends, but it's big turning point in this episode is Storm gets shot by the gun that was meant to take out Magneto. And it's not like a fatal wound, it shoots her right through the chest, but the thing that it does is this kind of gun, like, turns off her powers and, like, damages her at the cellular level to where she is no longer technically a mutant genetically. So that is a huge big deal, especially when you do that to Storm, who's one of the craziest OP mutants. And of course, she's one of the ones who's been around long enough to where she really loves being a mutant, and she considers it a gift to have the powers that she has. So that's really hard on her, and it really stinks. And even like Magneto realizes that this is like such a terrible thing for her, because he has always considered being mutant a gift. That's why he hated humans so much, because they saw it as being wrong. And then it ends with some time travel looking stuff, because what I'm assuming is a future version of Jean shows up on the the X-Men doorstep and says she needs the X-Men. So yeah, that's how that ends. Alright, so my thoughts on this episode. It's Magneto is an interesting character, and good Magneto is always a very interesting thing to play with because of how interesting and kind of complex of a character he is. Because like he has really bad methods, and he's not good at dealing with people he doesn't agree with, but he also has really good points, and he's like reacting. Everything he does is a reaction to how terrible people treat mutants. So he's always a very interesting character to play with. So when he's good, you get to see some very interesting things they get to do with that and with his good points that he has, but he's instead trying to use self-control and not lash out because of how bad he's been treated just because he's a mutant. So obviously the whole thing about taking Storm's powers is crazy. Like, I don't know where they're gonna go with that. I mean, she better get them back, because again, she's Storm. You like, everyone just sits back while Storm is doing her thing. So, but it's a it's a hook. We're waiting to see what happens with that one. So, well done, Marvel. You've got us. We want to see what you do. That I was like, how, it's crazy. It's a crazy twist. I was not expecting that one at all. Not expecting anyone to lose their powers, but if I knew one was going to, I wouldn't have said Storm. But yeah, what? How are you about to take Storm's powers? I don't know what that's gonna go with, but I'm interested to see. Okay. When I'm writing these outlines, like, I always have outlines for my episode because I'm a nerd like that. I always like paraphrase stuff, but I use very goofy language, so that's what I'm laughing at. But yeah, so another thing I really liked about the plot is a lot of stuff Magneto said. Some of it might be considered iffy. I don't know how you would view that, but a lot of it was like, it got, pretty deep. Like, that was the X-Men were created by Stan Lee to like be a commentary. And it was for good at the time. It wasn't an agenda. It was actually something that needed to be said. And it's pretty deep stuff, He's saying like, we're literally just born different, and everything that I did was because I was like hated for no reason. So the trial was very interesting. It's like the judges and stuff being all corrupt and iffy. So it was very cool, the trial. There was a lot of very nice character moments, and just you got to see a lot of good, cool thinky stuff. As far as like you can be thinky about a thing that literally does not exist. So, yeah, I really enjoyed that. I thought that was done very well. They can go way too far and agenda-y with that, and they didn't do that. They basically didn't do that at all. It depends on how you look at it. So then you have Scott and Jean's kid as another big part. It was nice. They're a cute couple. They're the couple. They're the two, and it was very interesting to see. And then, of course, she named him Nathan. If you know, you know. If you don't know, Nathan is Cable. Cable is a big character in Marvel Comics, and he's got a huge, complicated, time-travel-y past. But Nathan Summers is he's a big deal. So they named him Nathan. It's a big deal. You get the superhero fun chemicals. So, yeah, we're excited to see what happens with Nathan. And guess what? This is what happens when the mutants have babies. Your future self shows up, beat up at your door, and says that she needs her help. Seriously, every time they have babies, something bad happens, and something crazy happens. So, yeah. Not saying they shouldn't have babies, but, like, this is what happens when the mutants have the babies. Crazy stuff. So obviously, another big hook that they got us with, where I'm all interested. I'm all in. I care about what happens to this Jean, and I want to see where Nathan, I want to see what all happens to it. So, very good job. It's a good cliffhanger, and I wanna know what happens next. I'm anticipating the next episode. You have done your job, Marvel. Congratulations. You haven't been doing that lately. No offense, but but yeah, definitely got us hooked there. Very interested to see where they go with this whole time travel storyline. One thing I will say, I don't know if this is necessarily a negative, just kind of a interesting. What happened to the whole plot of the last episode? The only thing that really carried was Scott and Jean still figuring out if they needed to leave. So yeah, Sunspot disappeared from existence. I don't remember seeing anything about those Sentinel weapons that they had to figure out. Maybe they dealt with that. I wasn't totally sure if that was like totally resolved, but the most of the last episode's plot kind of went away. So, but I'm sure it'll be brought back up. Just, it was interesting that they chose to kind of, like, really drop it like that. Especially Sunspot. He just kind of gone. He just kind of gone. So, but they'll bring it all back, I'm sure. If they don't, they're bad at their job. But they aren't always. So we will give them the benefit of the doubt and say they're going to bring it back around in the end. So not necessarily negative, just another, let's see where they go with this. But yeah, overall, the episode, I liked it even better than the first one. I really liked they did a very strong plot, and they're setting up for a strong plot, and they did everything they were supposed to do. Again, couldn't have asked for more on that one. They did everything they had told us to do, and I'm totally satisfied. This is it was great. It was super super fun. It was exactly what we wanted from an X-Men adventure, and it's been very good so far. So, overall thoughts about the series so far. In summary, they haven't screwed it up yet. It's like, man, I wish we didn't have to think about it like that, that we could be super surprised when they do screw it up, Like, I wish it could be, we were really expecting great things. But, unfortunately, the mindset, for me at least, kind of has to be, well, you didn't screw that one up. But that's a good thing. They're doing they're doing good at not screwing up, so good for them. And I'm very excited to see where it all goes. Just they've got a lot of good things started here, and I'm just hoping and praying that they don't mess any of it up. Got a lot of interesting storylines. They're doing good with these characters. They are hooking us. They're pulling us in. They're making us anticipate where these are going to go. And we're just hoping that they're not going to screw it all up in the end by doing something super agenda-y or doing something super crazy and not X-Men-y and just too different, or just like, making a bad show. Like, not, just not doing their jobs well. So, overall, I'm happy with it so far. I'm liking these episodes. They are something I would rewatch, and I am ready for the next ones. I'm anticipating it. I'm expecting good things. I'm hoping for good things, and I want to expect good things based on the 2 episodes, but you just can't know. Expect disappointment, you will never get disappointed. MJ 2023. I don't know if that was that when that came out, but whatever. Yeah, I was happy with it, and yeah, I think that you should go watch it if you haven't. It's a fun show. I will say, if you're not into the old series and you're just not a big Marvel fan, it doesn't really add anything. If you're just trying to keep up with the universe and you're mildly interested, not geeky about it like me, then you might. There's gonna be a lot that you don't get from it that we do. So it's definitely it's not a part of the main continuity, so it's not essential, and you might not be as excited for it and as into it as the nerdier fans are. But for us geeks, it was good. It was good. I was happy with it. So yeah, that's gonna be it. This is the shortest episode I've had in a while, guys. Applause to me, keeping it concise. Definitely follow if you haven't already. I do thank you for listening, but I would like you to follow as well. That would be nice. I like followers. I like to have them. Comment on the question. When I have the question, it will be, what are your thoughts? How do you think it's starting? Do you think it's going to go well? Do you think it's going to deliver? So yeah, just what are you thinking about it? And share this episode and this pod in general with your friends and random people you see on the street and anyone, because I don't know. I like followers. It feels cool. My 21 followers feels cool already, but give me more. A little more. So yeah. That is gonna be all for today. Thank you again for tuning in, and I will see you guys tomorrow.